Hi, welcome to OKX by OKC Podcast. And here we talk about DeFi, GameFi, Metaverse, crypto, and everything else related to them. This is your host, James. Welcome everyone to OKX by OKC Podcast. And today we have a very interesting guest. His name is Lukas, and he's the founder of Kelepar GameFi, as well as he's a Cosmonaut. Hi, Lukas. Nice to have you here.
Hey, James. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, could you briefly introduce yourself and how you became involved in the whole crypto system?
Yeah, so I'm Lukas, and I guess I got involved really. I have been interested in crypto for a long time, but never have been getting deeply involved because of my work and stuff until actually the COVID lockdown happened. And then I had a lot of time at hand and I was diving down the crypto rabbit hole and got deeper and deeper into it. Met more and more people, found inspiration, especially when I helped some friends to co-organize the Cosmoverse conference. And was like, I want to build something in this space too. I want to participate in it and help this whole space to move forward. And that's kind of then already how I co-founded Kelepar with an old childhood friend. And so the real brief introduction of how I got into crypto and doing what I'm doing today.
Cool, very cool. So you were involved, and I think you are still involved in Cosmoverse conferences, right? So how did you become involved in the whole Cosmos ecosystem? And another question would be, why Cosmos?
So I'm actually not involved in the Cosmoverse conference this year anymore because I don't have the time to help them. And so it just makes sense for me to focus on my own project right now, especially then when we're at the conference. Like at the conference, it was a lot of work and I need to have this time to focus on representing my own company and not running around organizing the conference. So that's why I left the team. And why Cosmos? Well, I guess I have to blame or thank, whatever you want to call it, CryptoCito. He's, for everyone in Cosmos will surely know him. He's a big influencer and he's a good friend of mine. And when he moved to Lisbon, we got to meet, we got to become friends, and he kind of introduced me to the Cosmos ecosystem. He was also the one who then made me part of the Cosmoverse team. So that's kind of how I got into it, or how I got introduced to the Cosmos ecosystem and why. Well, once I started to actually read into it and understand what Cosmos is trying to do, I started to understand that this is probably where the future is heading, at least in my opinion, in my investment thesis. I think one blockchain cannot handle the future, right? So you cannot have the entire future of Web3 just running on Ethereum or running on Avalanche, whatever chain you want to have, right? You need to have a lot of different blockchains and they will need to be able to communicate with each other. And as we are seeing right now, the bridges, they are doing, at least in my opinion, not a very good job at this. It's insecure, it's risky. We see a lot of hacks. And IBC kind of solves this problem. It's very secure. It's very simple to transfer funds from one chain to another. So the whole interoperability aspect is only getting more important as the crypto space as a whole grows. And I think Cosmos is just the best positioned ecosystem to lead crypto into such an interoperable future. And that's why I truly believe in Cosmos.
So yeah, what Cosmos is doing in this ecosystem is really cool. And as you said, like once you are a true believer of a certain blockchain, then you are pretty much involved in everything and you want to give your 100% and try to make it as, I would say, you try to give 100% of your time and you try to dedicate yourself. So both you learn something from that and the blockchain as well gets some type of a benefit from your efforts as well. So as we're talking about Cosmos, I just wanted to get your idea about the benefits or advantages of Cosmos for developers or projects that are just coming or that are just launching. And why do you think that they should choose Cosmos when they're building their projects?
I think because Cosmos offers them the most amount of customization, especially in GameFi, for example. I can talk because I know a lot there. It's kind of my special area, but I'm sure you have that in other spaces or in other areas as well. But for example, in GameFi, we have a lot of issues with the user experience where if you're on a smart contract blockchain, you're kind of restricted by the wallet that blockchain uses, by signing all those transactions through that wallet. So there is stuff outside of your control that really influences the user experience of your end user. And what we have is that Web2 games just are so much better in user experience at this point in time than Web3 games that it's very hard to get the gamers excited about the Web3 space. And having your own blockchain in the Cosmos ecosystem allows you to kind of solve that problem because it's so you have so many customization options that you can find solution for these problems that you could not find if you were, let's say, on Avalanche or Ethereum, right? So I think that's one huge thing. It's that customization possibility that having your own blockchain gives you. Further, another point is, and we have been talking about this earlier already, is the scalability. Whatever, how many TPS you can get on your blockchain, if the whole world runs on just that one blockchain, it's probably not going to be enough, right? And the Cosmos ecosystem, due to having a lot of app chains and every chain having every app having its own chain, you have the horizontal scalability, right? So every chain has its own TPS and they don't interfere with each other. So you'll have never scalability issues that, for example, Ethereum has at the moment. So those are the two big advantages. And then because you have the IBC protocol where you can communicate seamlessly with all the other blockchains, you're not really restricted by having your own blockchain. You can still access the liquidity of other blockchains. You can seamlessly communicate with the protocols that are built on other blockchains. So you still don't need to develop an entire ecosystem by yourself. You can just use other blockchains that have been developing something that your product might need, communicate through IBC with them, and still have all the advantages of having a fully customizable blockchain and having like the whole horizontal scaling that you need to, hopefully at some point onboard the whole internet into Web3, right?
Yeah. So in one word, you can say that Cosmos gives the freedom to developers and projects in whichever way they want to go, whether it's regarding the customizing their projects and try to build something unique for the users. And at the same time, you mentioned GameFi, and what you said about the difference between Web2 games and Web3 GameFis is absolutely right, because if you look at the games in Web2, they are absolutely amazing in terms of user experience. Like it's so immersive that you feel a different type of an experience when you're playing the Web2 games. But when it comes to Web3, for some reason, the user experience is not so cool. And as we talk about the GameFis in Web3, they are mostly like just clicking a couple of clicks or buttons, and after that the game does the thing by itself, and it's just what we call play to earn, and that does not give so much user experience that it does not attract the users for longer periods of time. And that's why for some reason GameFi projects, their life cycle is not too long, maybe 6 months or even 1 year maximum, but still their life cycle is pretty short compared to Web2 games. So since you said that you are more specialized in GameFi, so what's your general idea about the whole play to earn games, and how do you think the GameFi ecosystem will evolve in the future?
Interesting question. There is a lot to cover here. I think what you described is the life cycle of those games is short, but also their production cycle is short. So I think our space has not been doing a good job at actually producing good games. It was just like benefiting of the NFT hype, getting something out there as quickly as possible, and to grab the cash, if you want to say it like in a bad way, right? Just benefit of the possibilities that are there without developing a proper product behind it. Like if you see the traditional games, like the AAA game titles that are out there, they take like a huge team that develops for way over a year, right? If you think about like, let's think about GTA, you know, the GTA 5 is like 5 years out or even longer maybe already. So those games are not appearing so quickly. It takes a long time to develop them. And even though those are very experienced game development teams and they have bigger teams, and then you have like small crypto startups with 3-4 people throwing out the game within half a year. So of course the product will not be able to compete with what the traditional gaming industry has been building. So I think it's kind of a little bit our own fault that we released, or not our, like as a crypto space, right? It's kind of on us that we released a lot of products that really couldn't excite the gamers. And I think this is about to change now, because maybe, especially for the GameFi space, it's good that we're in a bear market right now, because this whole, let's just get a product out as quickly as possible to benefit of the NFT hype, sell some NFTs and see from there. It's kind of gone, right? You cannot raise a huge amount of money like this anymore. So right now you have to build to set yourself up to have an amazing product when the next bull market comes around. And that would give us the time to actually then develop great games. And I think that's where the GameFi space is heading. So we had to come to the conclusion that, well, if you don't adopt real players that love your game, that want to play your game, and as you described, the life cycle is relatively short. So how can you adopt those? Well, you have to develop games that they want to play, that they love. So you have to develop good games. And I think that's where you're moving now. With a lot of people that I talk in the space, they are like very much on board with me on that vision that it's on us right now to create great games, get those games out to the actual gamers, out of just the crypto native cycles, and show them that NFTs and blockchain can actually just make an already great game even better, but are not just a scam or not just a mean of making money. So we have to come away from this idea of games are going to be there so people can earn money. Like the whole play to earn system is deeply flawed, in my opinion. Like if you want to play to earn, where's the money come from, right? Someone needs to give that money. So you always have that PvP mentality. People get in, earn money, and the people that come in last, they lose money. So you have to move away from that and focus on developing great games that are meant to be played, that are not meant to earn money, and use blockchain and crypto technology to make the experience better playing the game instead of creating a way of earning money by playing video games.
Yeah, you gave a pretty good idea regarding how the games need to be developed. And yeah, what you're saying is pretty amazing in terms of why the GameFi projects need to first pay attention to the whole user experience and how the game needs to be, so immersive and so exciting for the users. And at the same time, I think when the people are really enjoying the game, the income should be like it should not be the number one priority. The number one priority for GameFi projects should be the user experience and how much they can enjoy the game. And the income, the passive income that they get by playing this game should be the number two priority. It's like you play and earn an income by playing this game. So it should not be like you play so you can earn, but it should be like you play and you earn money. And I think in that sense, it would be much, much better for both the users of the GameFi plus the projects that are in GameFi as well. And at the same time, you gave another idea regarding hype in NFTs. And I think it's absolutely right, where the projects, they try to, pay attention to creating a game as quickly as possible and make it out and send it out to the users to play, so they can enjoy by this hype, and they can earn some money by utilizing this hype in NFTs or in GameFis. But at the same time, like people's attention span is pretty short. But what I mean by this is that if you cannot deliver a certain product at a certain time, then people quickly lose their interest and they move on to another games. And that's why probably something should be done in this regard, where the people's attention should be kept by the projects that are developing that, so they are not in a hurry to get it out there, but instead they take their time, so the game is developed and the game is made with perfection. You also mentioned about NFTs, and yeah, like NFTs and GameFi, they are absolutely interconnected with each other. So I want to get to know your idea about the role of NFTs and GameFi, and what do you think will be the role of NFTs in the future in GameFi space?
I think that NFTs are the solution to the whole sustainability issues that we have in blockchain gaming right now, if they are used correctly. The problem is just they have been used like wildly wrong so far, where we had this model where you had to buy an NFT and then you could play the game to earn a token. And that's is always always forced like a Ponzi model, right? Because who's paying the tokens? Well, the people that buy the tokens to then buy new characters to start playing the game. And as soon as you don't have new players coming in, the whole model crumbles, prices crash of the NFTs, prices crash of the token, and everyone leaves, right? So that's how we have seen NFTs implemented in games right now, and in this classical play to earn model. And I don't think even the play and earn model, it sounds nice, but it's nothing different, right? It's still like, oh yeah, the game is fun, but the way how it's all built up is still the same. You still need the NFT to play the game, and then you earn tokens, and well, eventually it will still crash because eventually no new players come in. And it's not even possible, like as nice as play and earn also sounds, like not everyone can earn. Like, where is the money coming from? It's just every dollar that's earned by one person has to be spent by another, right? So what we can do with NFTs is actually to facilitate a player-to-player economy where the players pay each other, and that will end up some players will earn money, and some players will spend money to save time, in a similar way that it's already done in Web2 gaming. So, and we had that in the past even. You can imagine, for example, in World of Warcraft, right? People that wanted to play in the PvP arena, they first had to level up their character from level 1 all the way to max level, whatever that was at different stages of the game. Then they had to do all like the raids and stuff to get the equipment that you needed to go on to go into the PvP arena, eventually to compete at the highest level. And a lot of people didn't have the time or didn't have the motivation to do all that grinding. And they just wanted to have the hero ready to play PvP. So what they did is they bought it on eBay, but that was kind of forbidden. If Blizzard caught you, they banned the account of the buyer and the account of the seller. And NFTs kind of allowed us to do that legally in a way, to facilitate it as a game and to make sure as the game provider, I also earn something, right? So to give you an example, how we do exactly that in Kelepar is if you get your hero, you level it up to the max level and then you sell it, you will obviously sell it more expensively than you bought it. So the royalty fees that Kelepar gets are higher when you sell the more expensive hero, right? So we can capture the value of the time that one player spent leveling up the hero to give that player an income and to give the company an income. And at the same time, the player that doesn't want to spend all that time, he can just spend the money. So that's like an example of this. And there are a million more ways how you can implement that. And that's how you can like implement this player-to-player economy. And then we can support it a little bit with giving away coins. So you will have the chance to earn coins. I don't think you need to completely scrap that model, but you need to cut that down a lot. Like you can't have a huge inflation. Otherwise, the token just loses value and eventually the whole system crumbles, right? So you have to keep the inflation in check, but give player other earning possibilities by delivering a service to another player. Leveling up a hero, equipping that hero, and then selling it to another player. That's a service that I'm as a player providing for that other player so he doesn't have to spend the time. And because he doesn't have to spend the time, he can pay for that. And that's kind of the whole idea that I have for GameFi and where we can go, because then we can improve the life of everyone. We can improve the life of the player that hates grinding and just wants to play PvP. We can improve the life of the player that loves grinding because he gets rewarded for it now. And we can give companies new possibilities to monetize, facilitating that economy. It just requires thinking a little bit outside of the box, going a little bit further than this obvious model of, hey, let's sell an NFT and then the NFT can earn token, which is, proven that it just doesn't work so far. And I think that's where we're going. Like we're going to see a lot of very, very creative ways how you can implement NFTs to capture values that players create in a game, but couldn't be captured in Web 2. It was just like leveling up a hero was just a mere database entry in Web 2. And Web 3 allows us to capture the value of the time that was spent leveling up that hero. And there is tons and tons and tons of possibilities in every different game genre, how you can capture the value of the time that players spend. And then, facilitate an economy where players that don't want to spend the time can pay players that love spending the time on those specific things. And then we get sustainable games that run in the long term and improve the experience of all the players.
Yeah, I mean, in Web 2, if you look at the Web 2 GameFi, especially the games that you pay to earn or to level up, it's so obvious that what you're paying is all of that is going to the project, to the game developers. And those game developers, they try to use that money. I don't know how much of that money, but they'll try to use that money to kind of improve your experience, because as a gamer, you want to try to either level up or you want to achieve some type of a level. And if, as you said, like if you don't like to grind, then you can just go ahead and pay, and all that money is going directly to the project developers. But in Web 3, the money that you are spending is going directly to the another user of the GameFi, of this project, and through that way the value is being created. And the royalty fees that you earn as a game developer you can pay it to make it more user friendly, or to make your game more interesting. So through that way, you try to get as many newcomers as possible. And I also wanted to touch on Kelepar in this regard as well, but you have already given your ideas or your thoughts on how you guys are trying to change when it comes to making GameFi more, I would say, more exciting for users. And another thing that I wanted to ask is that what do you guys do in order to get more users and try to attract them as much as possible and try to have them play your games for longer periods of time?
Good question. We're very early, so we are not yet too much involved in actually onboarding new users because the game doesn't exist yet. It will probably be released early next year, so we have a while to go to figure that out.
Okay, so you
right
have
now,
more time right now.
Yeah. But right now we're just trying our strategy is, I think the early adopters for crypto gaming has to be the crypto space, because we are still not at a point where it becomes super easy for non-crypto natives, like just start up their PlayStation, download the game, and then use their credit card to buy the crypto tokens and buy the NFTs and stuff. We're like years away of having that infrastructure. On computer, we might get it quicker, obviously.
Yeah.
But and we are developing on mobile and computer, by the way, not on consoles. But yeah, so I think we're still quite far away from actually being in a position where the gamers naturally come into crypto games. So the early adopters will have to be crypto users already. But most of the crypto people are digital natives, have been playing video games when they're younger. So I'm convinced that if you actually give them a game that they very much enjoy, they will stick around, and they kind of build the user base that on top of those you then can get the real players by marketing specifically to them. So that's kind of our roadmap in like early adopters and where we want to go from there. Specific marketing strategies, you can work with like gaming influencers, Twitch streamers that play the game and show it to their audience would come to mind, for example, there. But I think the most important thing here is the second part you asked in your question. That's how you retain the users, because that's also how you eventually get users. And that's just, you have to create an exciting game that people love playing and that they always gonna come back to. I mean, I'm a gamer myself, and I've been playing StarCraft 2 more than 10 years ago, very competitively. And even up to today, I'm still watching the GSL, so the Korean StarCraft League, because it's just exciting and I love the game. And so I stuck around for, I would say it's 12, 13 years now. I played
That's because
Hearthstone.
You have a personal connection with the game.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. It's because I like the game, because the game was so much fun to me when I played it that I wanted to stick around. And I played Hearthstone on a, I would say, semi-professional level, so on tournaments for money and stuff. And I'm still playing Hearthstone here and there today. Now, I don't have the time anymore like I used to back then when I was a student and played like many hours a day. But I'm still playing it here and there. If I have some empty time in an evening and don't know what to do, I'm like, yeah, let's play some Hearthstone, just because I like the game. So and you see that with many games, like GTA 5 Online is still around. I don't know how many years after it was launched. There are some people that still play World of Warcraft, and that game must be close to 20 years old now. So if you actually develop a game that is really, really fun to play and that builds a community that loves playing the game, this community will not leave the game anymore. And then also, if they really love playing that game, well, what do? They tell their friends, like, look, what a fun game I found. So I think the main user acquisition strategy and user retention strategy is the product itself and not really the marketing. And that's what we're focusing on right now, is really building that amazing game that can keep players engaged and can keep players excited for years, and then we don't need to invest much more on in other places.
Yeah, well, that should be the ultimate goal for GameFi projects, getting a community that is excited to play the game even after years and years, and getting them so excited that they also share it with their friends, with their communities, and through that way you get more users, and like the community grows naturally without any type of hype or any type of guerrilla marketing, I would say. So that should be the ultimate goal in GameFi space, and I hope that this will be the case in the near future. So we are talking about Kelepar, but I don't really have any idea, or our listeners, they probably don't have any idea of this Kelepar as well. So do you want to give more idea about Kelepar and how the game will be played, or like the whole general idea maybe?
Sure. So what we are building is a turn-based strategy RPG. I think the most famous example of this would be Final Fantasy, at least the older ones that I played, where you had a group of heroes, and then you had a turn, you chose your abilities, you chose your targets that you want to attack, and then all your heroes did their attacks. The opponent heroes or the opponents, the monsters, whatever you were facing, did their attacks. And then the next turn started, right? So that's kind of the way the battle system that we're using. You're going to have a group of heroes, and then it's turn-based strategy. Then the way we are presenting it is we're building it on a card game engine, and maybe that's because of my Hearthstone background. But no, not only. The reason is we're a small startup, I would say, and that's actually another interesting discussion point that I think a lot of the crypto games got wrong in general, is they try to do too much. They were like thinking, oh, how cool it would be if we could build Final Fantasy, or if we could build GTA, but on a blockchain, not realizing that Rockstar Games has, I don't know how many employees building GTA, spending millions on the development, like many, many millions. I think it was like 240 millions development cost, the most expensive game ever. And I want to do that then with a team of 5 people after selling some NFTs. Of course, that's not going to work out. So we know our limitations as a small startup. We'll not be able to compete with Konami in terms of like creating a 3D Final Fantasy version. So that's why we decided to go for the card game style. What we can do is create a battle system that's even more interesting, allows for more deep strategy than maybe those examples of the big publisher do. We can provide amazing artworks by our artists that draw super beautiful cards and everything. We can provide a touching story that has a lot of depth and is going to really touch the players. We can tell that story packaged in super beautiful artworks that our artists are drawing. So the way we are going, we're like, yeah, we are not going to have a 3D world where people can walk around, because we don't have the resources to do that. But what we are doing, we can make sure that it's excellent, And the players that enjoy the kind of more Hearthstone type of games, that maybe especially have played Dungeons and Dragons when they were younger, the pen and paper role play game. I often compare it to that, with how it should be feeling, just that you have visuals to it. And in D&D, you didn't have that because it was pen and paper. So we might be a little bit more niche in who we are targeting, but for the people that enjoy those kind of games, we can make sure that the experience is absolutely top notch. And that's why we are presenting the game in this card game format with the more picture book kind of style of how we tell the story. Just slightly animated, just make it look beautiful. And do really good what we can achieve. And so that's how Kelepar will look like and how it will feel like. I hope.
Yeah, I hope to see Kelepar, come alive, and I hope that you guys get it out there in the space. So as a gamer myself, I didn't play Hearthstone or Dragons and Dungeons, but I'm more of a shooter game player. So, but still, it would be this what you're explaining here regarding Kelepar. It sounds really, really fun, and I hope to see that in the near future. And I hope that, as you said, with an amazing art and interesting story, you'll be able to get so many users on board, and I hope they'll be able to experience the game and enjoy it as much as you want them to enjoy. And speaking of story and art, I wanted to touch on one thing regarding NFTs. If we look at the NFTs, let's say like 5 or 6 months ago, whole the NFT system was heading towards being the same. Like whatever a new NFT project comes out, they all are something like, they all look similar. So, but in the past 1 or 2 months, with new NFT projects coming out and trying to give out a different type of experience for the NFT collectors, especially some of the NFTs that are, telling a very beautiful story with so many interesting, hidden points, and with amazing art. Now it's the whole NFT space is heading towards a different direction. So let's talk about that. What do you think was the let's say the final point from NFTs going to one direction where they promise such roadmaps that that is not easy to achieve, from that point to another point where the projects are saying, hey, we don't have any roadmaps and we're not promising anything to you, but here's the art and we are offering the story, and through that way it's getting more and more attention. So what's your idea regarding this?
I think the market had just been a little bit oversaturated with the, I will just call them now, cheap profile picture collections. Because like if you look at what all those NFTs that we had did, it was just, it was very easy, right? It was very little work to drop a 10K collection and then just sell it. And everyone was aping into anything because just it was for a while up only and everyone bought and you could make a lot of money. But at some point we had so many of them that there was just not enough buyers anymore. The market got oversaturated and therefore it started to go down. And I mean, really all those NFT profile pictures, I mean, I don't consider them art. I don't think it would be fair to what art has been in the past. It's just like, let's get a crash grab out there as quickly as possible. So the demand kind of wasn't there anymore, but when people realized what they actually bought. And I don't want to hate completely on those projects because it was kind of, NFTs was such a new thing, right? We were in the earliest stages of this technology and it was the easiest thing to launch. And I mean, there were some that have built phenomenal brands. Bored Apes obviously come to mind, right? But there are others. And I think those will stick around. Those will keep their value because the more time we spend online, the more we're going to be willing to spend money on our digital identity. And the same way we buy expensive stuff from famous brands in real life, we will be willing to buy expensive stuff from like specific brands that have a great name online. But most of those projects, they are not that. They don't have that brand, so they will go away, fade out. And new projects that launch like that, people are not interested anymore. People want to see something new and original. And I think where we're moving towards is, as you said, like more into arts, that I think we will get more one-on-one arts in NFT. So actually people really drawing each artwork themselves, like, and not having this mass production where an algorithm just creates 10K NFTs as quickly as possible. And then this technology allows for so many things where we can improve products. You know, like gaming is one thing we've been talking about, how NFTs can improve the gaming experience, but it can improve like the music industry. It can improve like any part of entertainment, music, videos, films, streaming. So all that stuff can be improved a lot with the NFT technology. Who knows what possibilities we have with tokenizing real world assets at some point. I guess there's also a legal question around that. But once that stuff gets sorted out, like the sky's the limit for the NFT technology. You can do so much with it. And I think that's where we're heading now. And we'll just have those couple of early projects that have built a strong brand and that keep that brand. And you're like, you know, you remember the beginning, and they kind of represent the beginning of this new technology, and that's what's giving them value. But yeah, for future projects, I think we need much more, either it being real art that is drawn, it can be other digital art also, not everything it needs to be digitally drawn, but just like proper art, can be music, can be videos, can be collages, can be drawings, whatever, that will get the attention, because people then actually buy it because they like the music, because they like the picture, and not just because they expect to flip it at a profit down the line.
Yeah, and I think besides art, there is the utility part of the NFTs that people are still considering when they are trying to, invest in the NFTs. Because, yeah, art is cool, art is great, but to be honest, not everyone understands art, and not everyone appreciates a fine art. However, when you're offering something that's more than art, with better utilities, with better functions, or that creates a better value for the holders, then the NFT projects will absolutely skyrocket. They will absolutely grow in terms of their value, in terms of their user base, and that will create something unique. Just like you said regarding Bored Apes, I mean, it's amazing to see, and I hope that the future of NFTs, it's not that I hope, I believe that the NFTs and their future is bright, very bright, but only if the projects choose the right way, and only if it creates a certain amount of value for the investors. Before we finalize our podcast, I wanted to ask about the future of Cosmos ecosystem. How do you see the future for Cosmos from your point of view? What do we expect from Cosmos in the near future?
So the future of Cosmos, really briefly explained in my view, is very, very bright. So I think there is a lot to come. Personally, I think we're going to have, at some point, I think major companies realize that having their own blockchain, their own app chain is better than being smart contracts on some other chain. So I would say that if we have companies like EA Games or BioWare or whatever, if they want to start entering GameFi, they will do it by having their own Cosmos chain. In my opinion, that will make the most sense. And the same goes for other brands, like in terms of finance, like we had DYDX coming over to Cosmos. I think more of the big DeFi applications will do that, just because that customization possibility and the scaling possibilities that we have allows them to build products that are just superior than if they were launching on another blockchain. So I think we're going to have a lot of like big companies, big crypto brands moving into Cosmos, and we're going to find a lot more adoption, a lot of more blockchains, a lot more use cases in there. And then I think the projects that are already in Cosmos will find a lot more ways to really make use of the blockchain. Like we can see, for example, with what Osmosis is doing right now, where they're trying to create a system to extract the MEV, so miner extracted value. So on Ethereum, for example, you have like these things like sandwich attacks, where the miners or the validators, depending on the blockchain, kind of front run transactions to create a profit. And I want to block that, make sure that validators can't do that anymore, and create a system how they can use that to arbitrage and create. There is good MEV that you can create, not only the sandwich attacks that are bad. Basically, they want to block the bad MEV and make sure that they do the good MEV themselves and use that to bring value to the Osmo token holders. So that's like one example right now that comes to mind, where a project that's already on Cosmos is being very creative in actually using the fact that they have their own blockchain to bring value to the token holders. And I think we're going to see much more things like that, much more projects where really bright minds that we have in the Cosmos space come up with possibilities that we can't even think about right now to extract more value out of having their own blockchain and bring that value to the holders of the tokens. So to bring it together, I think we're going to have more and more adoption in the Cosmos ecosystem, more and more big names coming in, just because for them it makes the most sense to have their own blockchains, be it big names from Cosmos, from crypto or outside of crypto. And I think the projects that are in crypto, they will find a lot of very creative ways to capture more of the value by having their own blockchain and really fully using the possibilities that having your own blockchain offers. And lastly, I would say we will find new ways to create the best user experience in crypto, because that again, we have much more possibilities by having our own blockchains.
Yeah, I mean, give freedom to the developers, to the projects that are in crypto or outside of crypto as well, and give them proper solutions, proper technology. And that creates something that's, as you said, something that we cannot even imagine at this moment. Just think about when the Bitcoin started or when Ethereum got started. Like, I think no one even thought about NFTs or DeFi or all that stuff. But with the freedom, with the right freedom, right technologies and services, we are here at this moment with so many opportunities in crypto world. And I think that with Cosmos offering so many good solutions, plus the freedom of customizing not only the projects in crypto, but the brands in Web2 world, they will be able to, make their marks in Web3 and offer something that's unique. And that stimulates mass adoption of Web3 services, mass adoption of crypto. And that will be good for the future of crypto, and I think for the future of whole population in the world. And I hope that we'll be there to experience that, to see that, and to be a part of something that's unique in the future. Lukas, thank you so much for taking the time to share your ideas today. I enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, James, for having me. It was a huge pleasure to talk to you. Really enjoyed this episode. So thank you so much for having me on.